Hello, and welcome to Management 1100 Introduction to Business in a Rapidly Advancing AI World. My name is Brad Scheller, an adjunct professor at Northeastern University, and in this video, I want to provide an overview of my course. In my previous video on the Introduction to Business, I spoke about how the rate of change is occurring so quickly that we need to rethink how we learn about business. I ended the presentation by leaving the open question of how in the world we will be able to teach business concepts while focusing on what is really changing and how to adapt to that change. In this video, I'm going to lay out how I'll approach it. Here we have on the left a dusty cobweb-covered book labeled Legacy Knowledge, cracked cover, yellowed pages, gathering dust on a forgotten shelf. Wait, is that my diary? No, it's not. This is actually what static business education looks like. Knowledge that was valuable once, but has been sitting unchanged while the world has transformed around it. On the right, a vibrant ecosystem of interconnected cloud services, modular applications, and dynamic data, and everything in color coded. Everything is connected, and everything is alive with movement and activity. Arrows showing data routing between modules, gears indicating automation, integration points allowing new components to plug in seamlessly. This is the transition this course demands you make, from static knowledge that sits in a textbook to living systems that evolve, adapt, and improve continuously. The textbook chapters are not endpoints, they are starting points. Every concept in the book connects to a living, breathing system in a real economy that is changing right now. When you read the chapter on marketing, you should be immediately being asked what AI system is closing the arbitrage gap in this function. When you read about finance, you should be mapping the agentic workflows that are replacing manual analysis. When you read about operations, you should be mentally designing the extreme manufacturing loop that makes traditional supply chains obsolete. The book gives you the vocabulary. This course gives you the operating system to use it. This slide maps the educational architecture of this course as a three-layer stack, with each layer building on the one below. At the base, we start with the textbook framework. Because the terms and structure of the competition is a starting point, you will read the material with some tricks I will teach you for simulating information faster. Beside it, the case study method. Coming from Harvard Business School, I'm a huge believer in case studies as a teaching methodology because they provide a way to get inside a situation that challenges you to come up with solutions. You must think and defend your solutions, just like in real life. This is a foundation that has powered elite business education for many decades. During the course, we are going to analyze several cases, and I will again show you shortcuts to get the important insights without denying the experience of putting yourself in the business situation. The middle layer, immersive simulations. You're going to work in a team to analyze a failing business and learn how to build solutions to turn around such situations. You'll learn frameworks that are underpinning the current wave of business transformation. And the top layer is the one that makes this course unique. This tech stack with AI integration. And just as businesses will need to rebuild their key processes around autonomous AI agentic technologies, and I promise you will know what that means by week 5, we will be using some of the latest and most powerful technologies to guide you and your team through this course. You will use AI as a core tool in every assignment, every project, every deliverable, and you'll learn to use it responsibly with full awareness of its limitations and biases. Now, this three-layer philosophy, textbook and case method, plus immersive simulations, plus applied AI, produces graduates who can think, decide, and build. And this is the complete skill set that the emerging new economy demands. And here's how we're going to navigate the roadmap to getting a new way of thinking about businesses, how they interact, how they operate, where problems exist, and how to turn around failing situations into successes. Module 1 sets a baseline, and then there are 4 main project team modules about evaluating the businesses all the way through to turning them around. But first, a quick word about the importance of Module 1. This really is an exhibition phase where you will participate in online class discussions by posting your take on the case of the week. And in week 4, you will individually write a case analysis memo highlighting a company that you think is failing and in need of restructuring. These efforts are showcasing your talents to your classmates who are figuring out who they want to team up with, who shows effort and who puts in the work, who shows intelligence, who displays a passion for learning, who would make a good member of their team. And since teamwork is a major part of the grade, and actually a major part of the overall experience you'll take from the course and perhaps friends you will make for your career, you will need to put on your A game for this phase. So let's next discuss these team modules and what happens in each. So here's the course roadmap. It's a team-based, semester-long business process reengineering project where student teams select a failing legacy company and guide it through a complete modern transformation. These are fun. If you like puzzles, you've come to the right place. Now, 15 weeks with a week off in week 9 and one integrated transformation. Phase 1, which I'm including the introductory phase, is the diagnostic audit. Weeks 1 through 4, it's highlighted in orange because I couldn't figure out how to draw red with a Sharpie on the screen. Hey, you're going to have to get used to these snide little quirky asides, folks. That's just me trying to keep myself entertained. Anyway, this phase focuses on root cause analysis and market evaluation. You will prove why your chosen company is failing by moving past surface symptoms to systematic root causes. And here's a little bit more detail on that. Again, the objective is to pick a legacy company that's failing and move past the surface symptoms to look at the systemic root causes. And this is the hardest part for most students because it requires resisting the obvious. When a company is failing, the surface symptoms are easy to spot. Declining revenue, check. Shrinking market share, check. Employee turnover, check. But those are symptoms, not causes. Your job in phase 1 is to dig beneath the symptoms and find the structural failures that produce them. Look at the key frameworks on the right. Root cause analysis using the 5 whys, the Ishikawa fishbone diagram, the management control loop failure analysis, and market analysis tools such as SWOT, PESTLE, and Porter's 5 forces. These are your diagnostic tools. You will soon always have them as key tools in your bag. Let's talk about the 5 whys. It's deceptively simple. Revenue is declining. Why? Well, customers are leaving. Why? Well, the products no longer meet their needs. Why? Well, the product development cycle is too slow. Why? The organization is structured in rigid silos that prevent rapid iteration. Why? Because leadership has never restructured since the company's founding. Now you have the root cause, not declining revenue, structural ossification. Look at the featured case studies, Blockbuster versus Netflix, the failure to analyze shifting digital boundary behaviors. And the Boeing 737 MAX crisis, the fatal collapse of feedback loops and siloed engineering. Both companies had surface symptoms that masked deeper systemic failures. Your job is to be the engineer who finds those failures. Next, we get to phase 2, which is the corporate pivot, and that's weeks 5 through 7. Now, redesigning the value proposition is what this is about. This is where work shifts from diagnosis to creation. You have spent 4 weeks proving why your company is failing. You pick one, you pick a team, you assemble it, and you design a solution. And the solution is not a minor adjustment. It's a fundamental strategic pivot. Phase 2 requires you to reconstruct market boundaries and design a strategic blue ocean pivot. The term blue ocean refers to having no competition as opposed to a red ocean, which is saturated with competitors and similar products. You want to escape saturated competition. You are not fixing the existing product. You are reimagining what the company offers, to whom, and how. The next slide is going to break this down in detail, but I want you to understand the flow. Phase 1 told you what is broken and why. Phase 2 tells you what the company should become. The objective of this corporate pivot is to reconstruct market boundaries and design a strategic blue ocean pivot to escape saturated competition. At the center of this slide is the 4-action framework, and this is the core tool of blue ocean strategy, and it asks 4 deceptively powerful questions about every factor in your industry. Eliminate. What factors does the industry has long competed on and should be removed entirely because they no longer provide value? Reduce. What factors should be cut well below industry standards because the industry has been over-serving customers? Raise. What factors should be increased well above industry standards because the industry has been underserving customers? Create. What factors should be introduced that the industry has never offered before? Look at the key frameworks on the left. Value innovation, break into differentiation versus low-cost trade-off, and the four-action framework itself. These tools let you escape the red ocean of head-to-head competition and create uncontested market space. And the featured case studies on the right. Cirque du Soleil eliminated animal acts, reduced star performer costs, raised artistic production value, and created a theatrical experience that the circus industry had never offered. They made the competition irrelevant. Shopify pivoted from a struggling snowboard retailer to a dominant software as a service platform by asking these four questions. This is the creative heart of the project. This is where your team designs the future of a particular company. Phase 3 is the object-oriented architecture reorganization, weeks 8 through 10. Architectural and structural decentralization. This is a phase that sets the course apart from every other introduction to business case in the country. No other undergraduate business course requires students to redesign a company's internal architecture using object-oriented programming principles, but we do, because strategy without architecture is a fantasy. Think about it. You can design the most brilliant blue wave pivot in the world. You can identify a completely uncontested market space. But if the company's internal structure remains rigid and siloed, that strategy will never be executed. The organization will strangle before it launches. Phase 3 forces you to solve that problem. You have to pivot your design that you put together in Phase 2 and come up with an organization architecture that can execute it. What does encapsulation look like for this specific company? What platform inheritance model would allow upgrades to cascade across the enterprise? What kind of polymorphic workforce would be needed to staff it? The output of Phase 3 is not a paper. It's an architectural blueprint, a functional design for a decentralized, AI-augmented, modular organization that can actually deliver on the strategic vision that you created in Phase 2. In this phase, you will redesign rigid, matrix-managed companies into decentralized structures using object-oriented programming principles. On the right, the new paradigm. Tesla, SpaceX, and Spotify are treating teams as encapsulated objects. But now I want you to look at this through the lens of your capstone project. Your company, the one your team selected in week 5 as a failing legacy firm, has a version of the rigid structure on the left. Your job is to transform it into a decentralized modular architecture like one on the right. You will need to identify which teams should become encapsulated squads. You will need to design the platform that enables inheritance across the organization. You will need to specify which roles require polymorphic cross-training. And you will need to map the data pathways connecting everything to the central AI core. This is not abstract. This is engineering. And the result of Phase 3 is an organization schematic as detailed and specific as the one shown in this diagram. High throughput data control, agile process flows, encapsulated squads with defined interfaces, and infinite scalability through decoupled workflows. This is what your deliverable looks like. Now, Phase 4 is rollout and implementation, weeks 11 through 15, change management, ethics, and the final executive pitch. This is the final stretch and is where many transformations fail in the real world. Not because the strategy was wrong, and not because the architecture was flawed, but because the human element was ignored. You can design the most elegant organizational architecture in the world, but if the people inside it refuse to adopt it, nothing changes. Change management is the discipline of moving human beings from the old system to the new one, and it is brutally hard. People resist change for rational reasons. They fear losing status, competence, relationships, and security. They have built their careers on the old system, and they perceive the new system as a threat. If you do not address these fears directly, deliberately, and emphatically, your beautiful object-oriented programming reorganization will die on the whiteboard. Phase 4 also addresses ethics. As you integrate AI into every layer of the enterprise, ethical questions become unavoidable. Algorithmic bias in hiring, privacy concerns, and hyper-personalized marketing. Autonomous decision-making in finance. The responsibility to deploy these systems ethically is not a nice-to-have, it's a requirement. And then the final deliverable, the executive pitch. Everything you build across these last 15 weeks compressed into a formal 20-minute presentation to a panel of experts, also known as your classmates. And here is phase 4 in detail. The objective: navigate the human psychology, ethics, and leadership required to successfully roll out a massive reorganization. Look at the staircase in the center. Each step represents an obstacle you must overcome to reach the top. At the base, cultural resistance. This is the first and often the largest barrier. People who have spent years or decades in the old system will resist the new one, not because they're stubborn, but because the old system is where they identify with their relationships and their sense of competence. That's where it all lives. The middle step, financial bottlenecks. Reorganizations cost money. Training costs money. New infrastructure costs money. You need to demonstrate that the investment produces returns, and you need to show the financial pathway from here to profitability. The top step, ESG compliance hurdles, environment, social, and governance requirements. These are non-negotiable in the modern enterprise. Your reorganization must comply with these mandates, and your AI integration must be ethically sound. The key frameworks are on the right: change management using Kotter's 8-step process and Lewin's 3-stage model, leadership versus management, understanding the difference and knowing when each is required, corporate social responsibility and ESG mandates. The featured case studies, IBM's 1999 turnaround under Lou Gerstner and the enterprise-wide cultural shift that saved the company, Patagonia integrating ESG as a core operating principle, and the Volkswagen emissions scandal, showing the catastrophic cost of an unethical, fear-based culture. These cases show you what success and failure look like at the implementation stage. And finally, this is where it all comes together, the capstone, a formal 20-minute executive presentation where teams defend their fully diagnosed, pivoted, and reorganized company to a panel of experts. The pitch readiness dashboard at the center shows the 3 elements you must defend. On the left, MVP validation, empirical data gathered from a minimal viable product market research study. This is not hypothetical. You are going to build a synthetic persona database and gather real information for over 150 synthetic persona. User engagement up 45%, conversion rate 8.2%, customer feedback positive. Those are the type of real numbers from real testing that we want to see. In the center, financial feasibility, a defense of initial capital requirements, burn rates, and projected SaaS, or system software as a service, or hardware multiples. The chart shows the burn rate curve crossing the break-even threshold, with projected monthly recurring revenue reaching $75,000 a month against an initial seed of $500,000 and a monthly burn rate of $90,000. You must prove the numbers work. On the right, AI integration. Explicit documentation of how agentic and generative AI workflows create a sustainable competitive advantage. The diagram shows a data ingestion layer feeding through a processing node for value creation that provides a competitive mode and an action mode for automated decision output. You must prove that AI is not a gimmick, it's an infrastructure that creates lasting advantage. Now, this is a professional-grade executive pitch. The standard is high, the panel is tough, and the experience will be one of the most valuable things you take from this course. Each phase builds on the one before it. This video captures the entire arc of the project. On a whiteboard, silhouetted students are gathered around 2 diagrams. On the left, the old hierarchy, a traditional org chart with boxes and lines, and a giant red X slashed through it, crossed out, rejected. The students have diagnosed the structure as the root cause of their company's failure, and they are eliminating it. On the right, the new modular network, a circular interconnected web with a blue arrow indicating continuous iteration. No boxes, no rigid reporting lines, just nodes connected through flexible pathways. The students have proven why the old structure failed, designed a new value proposition in phase two, and are now architecting the organizational structure to actually implement it and execute it. Notice that the students are standing, actively drawing on the whiteboard. They're not sitting in a chair listening to someone giving them a report. They're actually in process, building it, doing it, designing it with their own hands. This is the difference between a passive education and an applied one. This is what I want you to come away with from this course. Look at this split image. On the left, the traditional executive sitting behind a heavy wooden desk, formal posture, hands clasped, a lamp, some papers, and silence. The executive's power comes from position, from the desk, from the title on the nameplate. Information flows up to them and decisions flow down from them. On the right, the modern leader, no desk, surrounded by a dynamic web of hexagonal nodes representing strategic roles and core competencies: innovation, analytics, global connectivity, security, financial strategy, operational excellence, all orbiting around a single figure who is not sitting above the system. They're embedded within it. This is the leadership transformation this course engineers. The traditional executive managed a hierarchy. The modern leader architects a network. The traditional executive controlled information flow. The modern leader accelerates it. The traditional executive made decisions based on reports that were days or weeks old. The modern leader makes decisions based on real-time intelligence forms. The traditional leader is out of work. The new leader has implemented a strategy that provides tremendous value. AI agents distributed across the organization. The final output of this educational paradigm is not a traditional manager, but a new professional profile. This professional combines the strategic financial vision of a CEO with the modular systems thinking of a systems software architect. This is the identity I hope to build in this course for you. Not a boss, an architect, not a manager, a systems engineer. And this is the culminating slide. Everything we've covered, every pillar, every principle, every framework, synthesized into a single output, the multiple hyphenate business engineer. At the center, the new business school graduate, not a student, a graduate, someone who's been through the crucible of this course and emerged with a fundamentally different capability set than any traditional business program produces. 3 inputs converge on this graduate. From the left, strategic vision, the ability to see the complete competitor landscape, identify arbitrage gaps, and design blue ocean pivots. From the right, systems thinking, the ability to architect organizational structures using object-oriented program principles designed for scalability and build modular networks. From the bottom, technological literacy, the ability to deploy AI as an infrastructure, build agentic workflows, and leverage extreme manufacturing methodologies. The output box on the lower left states it plainly. Graduates who combine the strategic financial vision of a CEO with the modular system thinking of a software architect. And a future readiness box on the lower right, fully equipped to navigate geoeconomic fragmentation, lead fractional cross-functional squads, and leverage AI superagency. They do not just participate in a rapidly changing economy, they are programmed to build it. This curriculum discards rote memorization. It engineers a completely new archetype, the multi-hyphenate business engineer. And that is who I want you to be when you walk out of this course. And this leaves me with just a few housekeeping announcements. And here's the most important thing I can tell you about this. Half your grade is just showing up and being present. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to fail you. I genuinely want every single one of you to do well. The other half is split between your weekly casework and a final pitch at the end. If you engage, if you participate, if you bring your perspective to the table, you will succeed here. The class is built for people who want to grow their careers, and every assignment is designed to build skills you will actually use. Next, I want to reassure you about the workload. It's going to look scary at first. I am not holding back on what I want you to learn, but I am also respectful of your time and your wallets, and I promise to respect both and show you that throughout the course. I will teach you how to use AI tools that cut your tedious, laborious tasks significantly and let you focus on higher value activities like actual learning, where there are activities that require you to use advanced analytical tools. I will give you guides and templates that simplify the work and allow you to use the power of AI to free you again. I will be giving you AI tools that I have built myself for my work and will help you guide you and also give you something of value you can use after the course is over. Also, I will respect your time and wallet by shortcutting the number of cases that you have to buy wherever possible by allowing you to supplement the cases with AI deep research tools that give you the insight the cases provide. You will have to do some cases up front to illustrate your skills for the purposes of attracting good teammates, but that will slow down as the course progresses. And I will leave a couple of cases for you to do that I feel are important for you to actually feel the situation. Next, I want to introduce you to your AI staff. In the real business world, leaders do not do everything alone. They build teams. In this class, your team is these AI tools that each play a different role. Notebook LM is your research analyst who instantly digests and synthesizes vast amounts of documents. Claude Opus 4.6 and Claude Code are your strategic thinking partners for analysts, analysis and writing. Gemini Deep Research goes deep on any topic across the web and will be your ticket to avoid buying many case studies by using a research tool to gather the insights. And Perplexity Pro gives you real-time market intelligence with citations and incredible ability to dig deep on topics. These are the same tools top consultants and executives are using right now. By the end of this course, you will know how to deploy AI like a leader, not just a user. So that's the course in a nutshell. And I'm genuinely excited to work with each of you this semester. This is not a class where you sit and listen to lectures. This is a class where you build, you think, you create, and you leave with real skills that will matter in your career. And whether you're pivoting into a new field, climbing the ladder, or starting something on your own, everything we do here is designed to make you more capable, more confident, and more valuable. If you have questions, ask me anything. My door is always open, especially if you want to walk down to New Haven, Connecticut. Or you can hop on every Thursday on a weekly optional Zoom meeting to ask for help and discuss anything. And my email is right there. But I do ask that you reach out via the Canvas email instead, as my Outlook email is inundated with newsletters and whatever else. God knows what is in there. I don't go in as often as I check the Canvas email. There, I will aim to get back to you within 24 hours during the week and 48 on the weekend. So let's have a great semester. And as the text says, let's build something great, your future.